Hi everybody, I'm Ron Canner, and today we are standing in one of the most amazing places in the whole world. We are literally underneath the old city of Jerusalem in the temple tunnels. In fact, if I just walked a few meters that way, I would be as close as you could possibly get to what was once the Holy of Holies in the first and second temple. Now, many people, when they think of the Western Wall, they think of an area that's just to my south that's only 60 meters wide. But we now know that the Western Wall is actually 10 times that size. About 150 years ago, two British explorers, they came here and they discovered these arches underneath the city. Now, on these arches were built neighborhoods. They were able to come underneath here, and now we have what's called the Western Wall Tunnel. We can literally go from one end of the Temple Mount to the other end. Now, you might be wondering, what is the Temple Mount? In 586, the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. But 70 years later, Daniel, the prophet, reading the prophecies of Jeremiah, realized it was time to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild. And rebuild they did, but it wasn't quite like the first temple. The second temple didn't match up to the glory of the first temple. But then along came a fellow by the name of King Herod. Now, King Herod was also called Herod the Great, by the way, was a bit of a psychopath. He was the one that sanctioned the killing of all the children 2 years and below in Bethlehem. But he was also an amazing architect. And he wanted to make the second temple amazing. So one of the first things he did is that he built a massive container that we now call the Temple Mount. When Herod the Great decided to build this Temple Mount, he brought in massive rocks from a nearby quarry. One of them is right here. This thing is huge. It's actually over 40 feet long and over 10 feet high, and it goes 3.5 to 4.5 meters inside towards the temple. It's one of the great wonders of the world that they were actually able to move this thing. How much does it weigh? Almost 1.2 million pounds. And somehow, nobody knows exactly how, they were able to bring it right here, and it remains to this day. But alas, in the year 70, the entire temple was destroyed by the Romans. Yeshua prophesied in Matthew 24 that not one stone would remain, and it didn't. It was all gone. Now, you might wonder why. Why would God allow that to happen? Because the once for all time, all sin sacrifice had taken place 40 years ago. When the British researchers 150 years ago were making their discoveries, the Ottoman Empire put the kibosh on them, and they weren't able to do any more research until 1967. What happened in 1967? The Six-Day War. Jerusalem was recovered, and for the next 20 years, they were able to do excavations here. In 1996, when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decided to open up the temple all the way from the south to the north for visitors, the Palestinian Authority went crazy. Yasser Arafat claimed that we were actually digging underneath the temple, which caused riots, and sadly 80 people died. But everyone knows now that that was not true. We simply wanted to get as close as we could to the actual Temple Mount wall. Shalom from underneath the old city of Jerusalem.